with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good day, and welcome to Think About It with Jaden Miller. I hope you guys are doing well. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on Podcast Addict, Amazon Podcast, Podvine, iHeartRadio, Good Pods, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, and of course on Spotify. I hope you guys are doing well. Also, please check out my website at www.jadenmiller.com, and that is spelled JAYDENMILLER.com. I have been really paying attention to this issue going on with Karl Malone. And for those of you all that do not know Karl Malone was a very, very fantastic NBA star with the Utah Jazz for many years. I used to watch him play against Michael Jordan back when I was in Chicago and when Michael Jordan played for the Chicago Bulls. And during the NBA Finals, when it would be, for all intents and purposes, Karl Malone versus Michael Jordan, it was always a great game. Michael Jordan always seemed to get the best of Karl Malone, though, but always just enjoyable to see those matchups between Karl Malone and Michael Jordan. The one thing that many people did not realize, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up, is that back when Karl Malone was in college, he had a relationship with a 13-year-old girl. And he was a college student at Louisiana Tech University, and he was heading for a big NBA career. Everybody knew it. Everybody in the small town that he grew up in was aware of it. And so he did have a sexual relationship with a 13-year-old girl who he impregnated. And the parents decided not to press statutory rape charges because they knew that, hey, Karl Malone was headed to the NBA. So for whatever reasons, they decided not to. And let's just be honest, probably for some financial reasons. So I bring this up because Karl Malone has been asked to be a judge during All-Star Weekend in Salt Lake, and he's going to be the judge for the slam dunk contest at the NBA All-Star Weekend in Salt Lake City. And whenever his name comes up associated with, being a judge or something like that, this incident of him, having this relationship with this 13-year-old girl comes up. It happened back in 1984. And I bring this to light because I wanted to talk a little bit about being a parent and being in your child's life. In the instance with Karl Malone, he denied paternity of the child from back in 1984, and the child's name was, or is, Demetrius Bell. Now, Demetrius Bell grew up without Karl Malone, and eventually played as a lineman in the National Football League. When he was, Demetrius Bell, when he was a child, his mother, her name was Gloria Bell, Gloria Bell. When Malone denied paternity of the child, she sued him, and they eventually settled out of court. And that out of court settlement was based on the condition that Karl Malone acknowledged that he was the father of Demetrius Bell. Karl Malone finally met Demetrius when Demetrius was 17, but this is what he said to him at the time. He said it was too late for him to be his father, and he'd have to make it on his own. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute, because this is Think About It with Jaden Miller. Imagine your father who really was not your father in terms of being in your life and being supportive and all of those things, finally meets you, finally sort of acknowledges you, and then tells you at the age of 17 that it's too late for me to be your father and that you'd have to make it on his own. Well, Demetrius Bell did. He went on to university and then went on to play in the NFL. So he did make it on his own. But you have to wonder how that impacted Demetrius Bell growing up. He went on to have a successful NFL career. He graduated from university. But imagine your father telling you that you've got to make it on your own. What kind of impact did that have on Demetrius Bell growing up? Now, Demetrius Bell has said that he didn't need Karl Malone, that he had the supports in place that he needed in order to be successful. But still imagine being told that at the age of 17. But that wasn't the only time. Karl Malone also faced another lawsuit from Bonita Ford, who had twins Daryl and Cheryl Ford back in 1980. And during those proceedings, because she had to sue Karl Malone, he was held in contempt of court and agreed to another out-of-court settlement. Cheryl enjoyed a 10-year WNBA career, starring for the Detroit Shock, where she won 3 championships during her time there. So again, now you have 2 others. So Karl Malone has 7 children, okay? And the first of those 3, he failed to acknowledge. It's really, really sad when you really think about it. Now, I'm not here to judge Karl Malone because I've got a point that I'm going to make about this. But even with those 2 kids, those 2 twins, it wasn't until 1998. Now, imagine, he had them in 1980. And it wasn't until 1998 that he acknowledged his twins, later admitting, I didn't handle it right. I was wrong. Father Time is the biggest thief out there and you can't get it back. My gosh, that's so true. As I've stated, Karl Malone was one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. He spent 18 seasons with the Utah Jazz, breaking numerous records for the franchise and becoming its all-time leading scorer. He was a beast on the floor, but very, very controversial afterwards. All right. He has 7 children with multiple partners. Now, he does have 4 children with his wife, Kay Kinsey. She's a retired supermodel. They had their first child named Katie, and then they had the daughter named Katie, and then they had another daughter named Kylie. Then they had a son named Carl Jr. They call him KJ. And then he had another daughter named Carly. So you've got Katie, Kylie, KJ, and Carly. Those are the 4 children that he had with his wife. And the 4 of them grew up together with him. So imagine their development, their childhood development over the years, having Karl Malone as their dad and in the same house with them. But think about the 3 that he initially denied even having relationships with the mothers of those children. Really, really sad when you think about it. But at some point, Karl Malone came to his senses, all right, and began working on his father-son relationship with Demetrius Bell. And he started that back in 2014. And he knew that he was not a good father, which is why he was trying to make up for it. He also made up with his twins and Cheryl Ford, the former NBA player. She used to idolize him. And at one point, she even went to one of his basketball games, and he didn't even acknowledge her at the game. Now, again, there's been time and there's been some years, and finally they do have a relationship now. And that is a good thing because it's never too late, But I say all of this to say that, and especially the parents, adults or people that are planning on becoming parents, it is extremely important, that you be present, that you be in your child's life. Because just as these three, now Karl Malone was a fabulous basketball player. So with that comes wealth and prestige. All right. They had the benefit of having an absent father, yet one that was very, very well known and very, very wealthy. Imagine people that don't have a father that has prestige and wealth, and they're denied all of the things that come along with having a father in a relationship, responsibilities and teaching priorities and having duties and getting to know dad and, building trust and having those healthy relationships and, and fathers being protective. All of those things, are missing from young people's lives when parents aren't being parents or don't accept their responsibility and don't do what is expected. And so a lot of people have criticized Karl Malone, and they want to bring up the rape allegations from way back in 1984. I think that's been dealt with. Demetrius Bell is doing well, and his mother, and her family decided not to press rape charges at the time. He was 20, she was 13, and of course she was not at the age where she could make decisions. But some people are trying to make it out as though it was this, really sinister and nefarious type of thing. And he certainly had a position of trust and age over her and should not have engaged in that type of activity with her. But yet there was a child born out of that. And so instead of us or those people that are slamming him for, being involved with this young girl, I tend to want to celebrate the fact that there's a great life that was brought into the world. And while we can't do anything about the past, we can certainly look at, our present and march towards a better future and mend those relationships. And so be a good parent. Be present in your child's life. Be a good role model. Do things with them. Be present with them. That's my message. This is Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to check out my website at www.jadenmiller.com. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. Check me out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, CastBox, iHeartRadio, and so many more. Thank you guys for listening. I will be back soon for another episode of Think About It with Jaden Miller. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.